Hey Mayans, and welcome back to my channel. Or if this is your first time watching, I'm Blvd Maia, and I talk about everything in my transgender, lesbian, and asexual life that you would really like to know about but are afraid to ask. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, because it does make a giant difference to my channel. And don't forget to hit that little notification bell and indicate that you want to get all the updates to my channel. So I know I've been doing a lot of videos lately with kind of heavy topics, so I thought that this week we would do something a little bit lighter. And so I asked all of you to submit your questions to me, and it could be about anything. And as you can see, you all came through. So the first two questions, the first from Andrea McPherson and the second from Elizabeth Jane Poucher, are kind of related, so I thought I would answer them both together. And Andrea asked me, how did you get into photography? Any particular subject matter you prefer shooting? And Elizabeth asked me, what is your favorite event of all time to photograph? Well, I got into photography because my father was super into photography, so I've had a camera in my hand since I was probably maybe 10 years old. So for those of you keeping score at home, that means I've been photographing things for about 39 years. As for my favorite subject matter, it has to be event photography, and in particular, my friends. So I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of beautiful friends who also happen to be performers. And since I've had my channel, every once in a while I'll sneak in a photo of them, one of the ones I've taken at one of their events. Lately at the nightclub I work at, I've been able to photograph a lot of RuPaul's Drag Race queens. And every year over the Memorial Day weekend, I'm asked to photograph Pensacola Unleashed, which is the ladies' party at Pensacola Pride. And I've met all kinds of amazing people there, everywhere from Derek Barry to Brandy Carlisle, as well as Ruby Rose, which is going to tie into a later question you'll hear. And in the first weekend in June down here in Orlando, I'm asked to photograph Girls in Wonderland every year. It's pool parties and night parties and after parties, and it just gets really crazy. But last year's Girls in Wonderland may have been my favorite event to photograph of all time because I was able to photograph the Veronicas. The Veronicas are a singing duo from Australia, and they have songs like Untouched, which really appeals to lesbians of a certain age. They were super nice. Once I was done photographing their meet and greet, they came up to me and just were so appreciative, which, you know, kind of actually took me aback. I was like, wow, I'm just a photographer. Now, Grace Lowe asked me, because she's a singer and also dysphoric about her voice, about how do you get to the more soft and pretty sounds when you sing? And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that even before my transition, my voice was fairly high-pitched. I was a tenor one. And one of my favorite things to do when I was alone in my car was to sing along with songs by people like Laura Branigan, Janet Jackson, Gloria Estefan, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, and nowadays it's singers like Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift. And I'm able to shape and contour my voice to get into that kind of falsetto that sounds, I guess, what you call sweet. Like one of my early videos on this channel was me singing Angel by Sarah McLachlan, and it has that kind of ethereal sound that I think you're referring to. In the arms of the angels, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. So yeah, like that. I'm not gonna sing the whole song, but that chorus part is where I really go up into those high kind of floaty notes, I guess you could say. And yeah, some of it is just God-given ability, so I don't know how to teach somebody else to do that except to practice. And certainly many years of singing along with these amazing female voices helped a whole lot. Okay, and here we have a couple serious questions. The first by Christy White, who says, because transition takes up so much time and energy, not to mention money, did you have a plan for your post-op transition, i.e. when you felt reasonably complete and happy? Future job, relationships, and goals? And the answer is no. Oh gosh, I wish like I had a good answer for that, but I seem to remember at the time I thought I was going to get back into IT, which is what I did before I started my photography company. The only problem was that because of all the years I spent on my photography company, and then of course then later on my transition and then working at Disney, it had been over 5 years since I worked in tech, and like they told me, that was really a lifetime ago in terms of technology. So I've puttered around on a lot of really low-paying jobs because, to be honest, Orlando doesn't have a lot of high-paying jobs. I did know, though, that my transition, my surgery wasn't going to make me happy. And I think that's one of those things that especially a lot of cisgender people and sometimes transgender people think is what's going to happen. And that is not the case at all. That's actually when the real race begins, and you got to work on yourself and you got to work on things. And you got to figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. And it has been a struggle. You know, I don't mind saying that, you know, I'm pretty broke. For the first time ever, I'm probably gonna have to dip into my 401k this year, you know, which is like boo-hoo, poor you. But yeah, it's not a comfortable place to be right now. But I am working towards something right now. I actually know how to code, so I'm trying to turn that into an actual real job. And even further down the line, once I have the experience, maybe I'll start freelancing at that. I just don't like corporate environments very much, and the further away I can get from that kind of environment, you know, more non-traditional it is, the happier I know I'll be. So that's what I'm working for. Now, Cassandra Bradley asked me perhaps the most challenging question of everybody. Do you feel that there are some parts parts of the social aspect of your transition you could have handled better? Wow. To be honest, I kind of just slipped into this life very, very easily. I didn't really have to work much on anything. I just kind of, I don't know, one day was one of the ladies. But one thing I've come to realize lately is how I approach my friendships. That might have been something I could have done better. Especially in the early days, I had some really close ones, new ones that I made here in Orlando. Fall apart for reasons of, just immaturity and just, going through a lot of crap at the time. And yeah, I think there were some people who were kind of unforgiving. They saw this middle-aged woman and they kind of expected me to act like a middle-aged woman with all the life experiences leading up to that point, but I just didn't have those. So yeah, I made some mistakes. And part of that was also driven from the emotional abandonment issues I had, which I went over last week. So I'm still kind of like fine-tuning that even almost 10 years later. Now, Charlie Conquered Blue asks, cool content, do you use your phone or camera? And I actually use a DSLR. Except for my early days of my channel back in 2011 when I actually used my laptop camera, which really sucked, and you can't even find those videos anymore, except that I kind of made a video about those videos. When I actually relaunched my channel in 2016, I went out and actually bought a real camera. I bought a Canon G7X, which is more of a vlogging camera, but it kind of had everything built in, including a microphone, but you couldn't plug in an external mic, and eventually that really got to me. I really wanted to have better sound. And so Canon had a booth at Playlist one year back in the creator areas, and I went in, I looked at all the cameras they had, and I finally settled on a Canon 80D, which is what I still shoot on right now. Although I'm really lusting after that new 90D. Mimosary1, I think that's how you say it, asked, are you single? Yes. So single. In fact, if you go to my Twitter account and you look at all the stuff I've written, one of them is terminally single. I don't think I'm actually ever going to meet somebody. And I guess that is kind of defeatist, but I'm almost 50 and the lesbian world is very, very unforgiving. Not to mention the pool of available suitors is very, very small, especially those that would date a trans woman, even a post-op trans woman. So I'm doing the best I can, but really this is something I should have done 25 years ago. I can't go back in time. I can only move forward. So, we'll see what happens. Music is Life 43 asks, what's your favorite TV show at the moment? And this is when I was referring back to Ruby Rose, because I gotta say Batwoman is pretty high up there right now. I mean, besides the fact that she's portraying a lesbian and Rachel Maddow does a lot of voiceovers on the show, I just like that kind of noir feel it has. It's a little bit darker than the other superhero shows they have on the CW. And if you want to go really adult, I really like The Magicians. I love that show. Here in the US it's on Sci-Fi and they let them drop the F-bombs and everything, and I'm like, wow, yeah, okay. And a new show I really like is Star Trek Picard, because it feels like the next generation that we really wanted to see, full of real people with problems and emotions and baggage and who really curse and things like that. Now, my best friend Dawn actually sent me in 5 questions. Question 1, tell us what a day in the life of Maia is like. Well, I wake up really late. I'm one of these people, I can stay up all night, so I frequently do. So I'm up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning often, which means to get my 8 hours sleep in. Yeah, I'm usually rolling out of bed around 11 o'clock. And then I let the dog out and feed her, and I figure out what I'm gonna do for the day. Usually it involves a lot of technical stuff. Right now involves a lot of studying, as well as going over websites for clients. A lot of time alone. I'm not gonna lie. I also try to go out and run every day, and usually about 3 miles, which is almost 5 kilometers for you people out there in the metric world. And then on the 3rd day I go to the gym, and then I do a lot of weightlifting. I also of course watch TV on Netflix, and I try to talk to friends as often as possible, not as much as I'd like. Every once in a while there's a music gig thrown in there, or on Thursday nights I'm often going to an open mic that a friend runs. Sometimes I'm going to meetups, we have an Orlando developers meetup and a Tech Junior meetup. And then of course, depending on the week, I'm also always thinking about the next video I want to make. I have a whole list of videos that I'd like to do, and I usually pick from one of those unless something really hits me or something is going on in the news. And then I usually record those on Thursdays or Fridays, and then Saturday is usually my editing day. I spend pretty much all day editing because it takes hours and hours and hours, and I don't have anybody helping me with that, so I do everything. The thumbnails, the Photoshop work, everything. I don't do a lot of traveling, although I would really love to. If anybody wants to invite me out anywhere, hey, I'm open. And yeah, that's pretty much the average week for me, except you might throw in, I might go out to a gig with a friend who's dancing somewhere in Jacksonville or something like that, or I might go out to Girl the Party, the local lesbian night here. No dates. The next question she asked is, what is your favorite room in your house? Well, it's actually this one. It's my bedroom, because I really love to sleep. What's your go-to food when you've got the blues? Okay, that's called eating your emotions, and I try to avoid it, but I do it all the time. And the one food I like more than anything is really terrible for me, but you know, cheeseburgers. I love cheeseburgers, every kind you can imagine. No pickles and onions though. And the last question she asked me is one I'm going to combine with one that Danielle Caswell asked me, because it's almost the same thing. Dawn asked me, you've been gifted $1 million to go anywhere in the world and live there. Only catch, you cannot return home. Do you go and where? And Danielle asked me, if you were given $1 million to spend, would you spend it on to help the community, or would you keep it for yourself? That in journalism is what they call a gotcha question. Like, how am I supposed to answer that? I'd spend it all on me. Screw the community. There's not a good way to answer that, and I feel trapped. However, to answer Dawn's questions, one of the possible ways I would spend it is to go to New York, back home, and buy a place in New York City. Or at least rent it for like, you know, a month or two. I think $1 million would get me about a month's rent. Just experience living in Manhattan or something like that. Oh gosh, that would be incredible. And since Mama is kind of broke, yeah, I can't say I'm going to use it all in the community. But I could see doing something like, you know, I don't know, funding somebody's surgery, you know, doing something like that. I think that would be really cool. And maybe that would only make a difference in a few lives, but you know, a really important difference. Now, Marcy Toal asked me, what's your favorite song to sing at karaoke? Well, because I'm a professional singer, I actually don't sing a lot of karaoke. Karaoke at this point feels very, very mechanical and very much like constrained. It's not organic. It doesn't flow with you. So I kind of avoid karaoke. But if I go back into my past before I professionally started singing, it would have to be Pat Benatar, Hit Me With Your Best Shot. That was my go-to song. I really could hammer it home, and actually I do sing that live sometimes. Julie Carol Jolly asked me, what do you do to your hair? I like it. Why, thank you. First of all, yeah, it is my hair. So I was very fortunate not to lose very much hair before my transition, so I just let it grow out. And I use the Matrix brand of shampoos and conditioners, and I gotta say, I really love what it does with my hair. It makes it feel very soft. Like if you were to actually touch my hair right now, it's actually not like crunchy at all. But besides that, it's actually pretty low maintenance. Like it'll just do this if I do nothing to my hair and just let it air dry. But it'll also get kind of frizzy, so a lot of times I'll put in some Moroccan oil to control some of that. I also use some hair gels. I've gone through all kinds of hair products, oh gosh. And besides that, this little bit right here, that actually is not straight right out of the shower. So I actually do use a hair straightener on it. Just a little bit to kind of give myself some defined bangs. But a lot of times when I'm feeling really lazy, I'll just, you know, run that gel through my hair and walk out the door. And okay, the last question will be by help, there is a spider under ... How do you manage to stay so adorable? Aww. Am I adorable? I guess I've been called that in the past. I gotta say, I don't always feel adorable. And to use a Gilligan's Islands metaphor, so many of my friends are spectacularly beautiful gingers. You know, the fact that I am not that sometimes can work on my self-esteem a little. And I know that in a world of gingers, I guess I'm a Mary Ann. But gosh, it would really be great to be a ginger one day, wouldn't it? Maybe in the next life. So that's where I'm going to end it for this week. But if you have any additional questions or would like me to elaborate on any of my answers, please put them in the comments below. I plan to make a video every week from this point forward, but I gotta say, in a few weeks I have one coming out that I'm really excited about. Hopefully it's gonna star a couple friends of mine who've been in past videos, but we're gonna go over the things that every cisgender lesbian needs to know about trans women, and the things that transgender lesbians need to know about cisgender women, and cisgender lesbians in particular. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And tune in next week as well. But for now, my social media, of course, is down below as always. And if you do have a dime to spare, please consider supporting what I do by giving to my Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help me keep making these videos. And on that note, please like this video by giving it a thumbs up. Please share this video and please subscribe, and see you around the interwebs.